guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am back to share with you a something old, something new video. It has been months since I have done one of these videos. For the something new, we are going to be trying out the Nudestix Nudies Matte All Over Bronze Color in the color Sunkissed. And then for the something old, I'm dipping back into a very old, very beloved favorite, the Kathleen Lights Colourpop Dream Street palette. We're going to be using some of the bronze colors in here to create this very soft, very kind of smoky bronze summery eye. I love this type of an eye look, and it goes perfectly with kind of the reddish brown color of this bronzer stick. But I hope that you guys are excited about this one. If you are, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel, and then let's go ahead and get started. So let me just quickly talk you guys through what I have on my face. So I moisturized my skin really well this morning, and then right before I put my foundation on, which was actually a couple hours ago, I went in with the Garnier Glow Boost Illuminating Moisturizer, which you guys know I've been loving. Then I applied a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter just on the tops of my cheekbones. Then I went in with my complexion sponge, this one's from L'Oreal, and applied the Sephora 10-Hour Foundation, which I also picked up during the Sephora sale. I've been wearing that for about 4 days now and absolutely loving it. Then for concealer, underneath my eyes, I went in with my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. Then I applied the Too Faced Born This Way concealer on just a couple of spots that I have around my face. And then I also did my brows with the Iconic London Brow Cushion. And that's pretty much where we are now. So I'm going to go in with this product right here. Again, this product is from Nudestix. This is one of their Nudies Matte All Over Bronze Color. I'm just going to swatch on the back of my hand again for you guys. I know I've done this before, but as you can see, this is like a very red-toned bronze. Very interesting color, but I can still tell that this is going to be so pretty and natural on the cheeks. I'll be honest though, I don't quite know the best way to apply this yet. So when in doubt, I usually just use my ring finger when I'm working with cream products. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm just going to kind of tap this kind of right where I would put both a bronzer and also a blush, just pretty generously in this area right here. So I'm just taking a little bit of that on my ring finger, and we're going to kind of apply that right where I would a cream blush, and slightly lower as well. So this area right here is kind of my cheek area, where I usually put a blush, and then this area down here is where I usually will put a bronzer. We're kind of going in both of those areas and putting this all over, kind of as the name implies. So I'm going to tap that in a little bit, and then we're going to take the back side of this brush and just really kind of tap that around. I really don't like to pull, because I feel like when I pull with a brush, it takes off coverage, and I need coverage on my cheeks. I have a lot of hyperpigmentation on my cheeks. I have a lot of acne scars on my cheeks. I don't like to take away coverage on my cheeks because I really need it there. I'm going to try it on the other side. I think I'm just going to stick with my finger and just really kind of blend this one in on this side with my finger, and just see what the difference is. If we get a little bit more color, if it blends a little bit more into the skin. I am feeling like this side definitely has a lot more color than this side did. It's hard to say if I applied the exact same amount on both sides. It's possible that I had more product on this finger than I did when I went on this side, but it's also possible that using the brush probably takes away some of the, I keep wanting to say coverage. It's not coverage. I do have a spot right here, which I just totally uncovered, but we're just going to pretend like that's not there for now. So I am going to take that brush again, and just around the edges, just kind of feather that really lightly. You can see that there. I think it's really pretty. I do feel like I am noticing that some of the coverage from the foundation that I had on is kind of lifted off a little bit. I don't necessarily want to hold that against this product, because I have a lot of things to cover on my face right now. So I can definitely see these kind of poking back through. My guess is no matter what I put on my face today, those probably would have popped back through. So I think I'm going to take just a tiny bit more and just apply it on the sort of apple of my cheek right there. And I will say this, I think it can be tricky with cream products, especially if you're someone that's a little bit older, to where you find that some powder products are making you look a little bit dry and a little bit more textured than you normally would like. So for that reason, I like the idea of going with the cream product, because it just looks a lot more healthy on your skin. It makes your skin look a little bit more dewy and glowy and natural. But here's the catch with that. I do also think that sometimes when you're layering cream products on top of each other, sometimes that can take away some of the coverage that you initially applied. So if you applied your foundation, your concealer, if you have things to cover where you're putting those cream products, as you work those cream products into your skin, even if you're really gentle, sometimes you can see those spots start to peek through. So it's kind of a catch-22. Using powder products, I think, make it a little bit easier to maintain the coverage that you initially had, so you look a little bit more even and flawless, but can also make you look a little bit drier. Whereas using cream products, I think, makes your skin look a little bit more healthy and glowy, but you might have to be okay with the fact that some of those spots are going to kind of show. So my thinking on this is that you kind of have to end up deciding what is more important to you. Are you wanting the texture of your skin to look really healthy, and are you okay with the fact that you might not look perfect, as in like you have no blemishes whatsoever on your skin? If that sounds more like what appeals to you, then I would go with cream products. If you're someone that really does not want any of your melasma, any of your acne scars to show, then I think powder products might help you to maintain that coverage a little bit more easily. I hope that makes sense. And again, this is just kind of my experience with cream products versus powder products. I know it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not quite sure which one I prefer. I think it probably depends on my mood, and I think this is something that probably will change based on how nice my skin is, based on, you know, how hydrated my skin is, and also my age. As I get older, that might be something that continues to kind of evolve and change. So right now, looking at my complexion, I think it looks really pretty. I am certainly noticing some things show through that normally if I'm using solely powder products, I don't usually see quite as much. I'm seeing both of my matching acne scars that I have on each cheek kind of poking through that bronzer. But I do think that color is very pretty and natural looking. I think the texture of my skin right now looks the very best that it possibly could. I know this is not technically like a bronzer shade, but I want to add a little bit of this just to the top of my forehead to try and mimic like a real sunburn or sun-kissed look. And for this, I am going to use this little brush on the end. I think this brush works pretty well. If you don't have a large brush collection, especially when it comes to face brushes, because face brushes can be a little bit more expensive to invest in, it definitely works. I probably won't use this all that often. I probably would just use the brushes that I already have because I prefer them a little bit more, but it's not bad. And then I'm going to put a little bit just kind of across my nose. Hopefully this doesn't end up looking weird, and if it does, we'll just cover it back up with concealer again. Okay, yeah, that looks weird. So I'm trying to mimic that kind of sun-kissed look, which you usually get really right along this area of your face. I don't really know that I've done it very successfully yet. I'm just taking my sponge, which I use to apply my foundation and concealer, and I'm just kind of tapping over my nose where I put a little bit of that product because I don't want it to look weird. I want it to be very, very subtle. We're really trying to mimic getting like a real sunburn. So I'm going to take this color. I'm actually going to put it kind of far in right here because when I get color out in the sun, I get it kind of right in this area right here. And I hope this doesn't end up just looking weird. We are being a little bit experimental today, so I'll give you guys an update once I really figure out how I best like to use this product. But so far I think that looks pretty natural. I think it looks pretty good. I really do love the color. I would say this is more of a blush color than a bronzer color, but I love that it's kind of right there in between. It really does just kind of warm up your complexion. You could skip the bronzer and just use this color instead. And that's kind of the same way I feel about Margin by MAC. That color is like a very red toned, rosy color, so it works as both a bronzer and a blush, and actually also works as a highlight because it does have some luminosity to it. But the color of this reminds me quite a bit of that. So probably what I would actually do next time I use this product is actually go in with my foundation, go in with this product, the color products, and same thing can be said if you're using a cream bronzer or any sort of cream colored product on your skin. Put the cream bronzer and or the cream blush on first, and then you can address the spots that are peeking through. So I would then, at this point, I would take my concealer. I have this is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Vanilla. This matches my skin when it doesn't have any color products on it perfectly. So anywhere I have spots that are kind of beneath where I put that color, I'll go ahead and conceal those with this. And I'll take just a clean finger and kind of really gently tap those in and make sure that I don't go on to the colored cream product that I already used. Because Obviously, if we put a spot of a concealer shade right here, you're going to see a little white or lighter mark right there, and we don't want that to happen. So now let's go ahead and move into the eye. So when I was thinking about what to use, what eyeshadow palette to use with this Sunkissed bronzer stick, I knew I wanted to do something very kind of bronzy and very summery feeling. And one of my very favorite palettes to reach for when I want a really nice bronze look is the Kathleen Light's Dream Street palette. This palette has so many fantastic bronze shades in here. I love these two colors right here. I love this warm brown, this very deep, rich brown. Such a good palette if you're wanting like a really nice, beautiful, summery bronze eyeshadow look. And I would also be willing to bet that a lot of you probably also own this palette as well. If you don't, I highly recommend it. This is a fantastic palette. So we're going to start off by going into a mix of these two shades right here, these transition shades. And I'm just going to kind of loosely buff those right above my crease. So taking it all the way out to the tail of my brow and kind of pulling in towards the corner of my lash line. And by the way, this is my Morphe M504 brush. So you can see we just have a really nice loose wash of color that kind of goes all the way out. Once we add the liner and the lashes, well, mascara, everything's going to kind of come together. It looks a little bit wild and widespread right now, but it's kind of the point. So let's go ahead and move into a bit of a deeper shade. We're going to take the MAC 217 brush, and then I'm going to take this warm brown right here. It's almost an orangey brown. Very pretty shade. And we're going to put that just right kind of at my crease and slightly above. Not quite as high as I went with the shade before, but just about 2/3 of the way across, and then I'm going to pull it just kind of right along this outer corner of my eyelid right here. And I kind of just feather in like this. I'm not really creating a very strong shape. I'm just basically blending that color sort of down and in. And if you have any sort of patchy areas, I feel like this side got a little patchy, just take your initial brush with no more product on it and just kind of blend over it. And especially if you're using these eyeshadows, it just blends right out. I'm just going to take a clean cotton bud and just sort of clean up. I don't really want a defined line, but I also don't want that product to get too far down. Now we're going to go into, I'm trying to decide which one. This is one of my favorite lid shades ever, but it is a little bit more of a rose gold than a true sort of bronze shade. This one's a little bit more of like a coppery bronze. Let's go ahead and use the coppery bronze one. And I think I'm going to pack that just using my finger right on the outer half of my, or let's say the outer 2/3 of my lid. I just kind of wiped off that 217 brush. I'm just going to sort of feather that front edge a little bit. Then I'm going to take this color right here, which is the color Sweet Dreams, and we're going to pack that just on that inner almost half of the lid. So we're going to kind of overlap that other shade and go in about halfway. We're going to take this shade right here. I think it's Moony. I have such a hard time reading the back of the Colourpop palettes. I don't know why. It's so difficult for me, but I'm going to pop that on the inner corner. And then I'm going to take the darkest shade in here, which I believe is Elfish. And on my MAC 217 brush, we're going to take just a touch of that and really just add that right above this outer corner of my lash line. I just like to place it right above where my outer lash line is, just kind of right above that, and just sort of add tiny little circular motions just to add depth right there at the lash line. I think I might have mentioned this before, but whenever I'm doing this technique, especially with this brush, or even with my Morphe M507 brush, which is this kind of thinner tapered blending brush, I love to kind of close my eye and kind of place my brush mostly on the upper lash line, but a little bit of that brush is going to go on that lower lash line as well. So we do pull a little bit of that depth and color also along the lower lash line as well, which gives your eyes the quickest, easiest, most perfect definition without having to do any extra work. One of my very favorite kind of, I'm assuming that's a technique. And now with the Juvia's Place Small Buffer Brush, I'm going to take a little bit of that bronze color that we put on the lid, and we're just going to add a little bit of that right kind of under the center of the lower lash line. Alright, so there are the eyes. If you feel like you got color where you don't want it, or if you want a little bit more of like a sharp shape right here, you can also take either your clean blending sponge that you had a little bit of product left on, or add a little bit more foundation or concealer to this and just kind of tap that right along there to kind of redefine the shape right there. If you want to keep it nice and soft, you can do this with just no added product to it. It'll just make sure that none of that color is lower than we want it to be. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this. This is my Wet n Wild liner that I use in pretty much every video. I do actually have a little bit of liner also on this outer part of my lower rim as well, which I actually do like. I think that looks really pretty. I'm also going to add a little bit of this just to the outer corner here. You can see that just added a little bit of definition. Now I'm going to add some mascara. I'm going to take my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara and I will add a couple coats and be right back. Alright, for my lips today, I'm going to take a little bit of MAC's Whirl and just line right below my bottom lip. I want my lips to look really full, but also kind of nude. And then I'm going to take this lipstick right here. This is Truffle Tease by Maybelline. And I'm going to apply on top of that the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Madeline. Alright you guys, and that is it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I am really happy with how this look turned out. As always, I love the Dream Street palette. It's definitely one of the best affordable palettes out there. It never ever 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 disappoints me. I always love using that palette. I love how this bronzy look turned out. I think it is so beautiful. And I'm especially excited about this product right here. I think this is such a beautiful, healthy looking color. The formula was really easy to apply. There was a little bit of trial and error because this was my first time using it. I'm not quite sure how I prefer to apply this thing yet. I will keep playing around with it and let you guys know. But so far so good. I love how this looks on the cheeks. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you are new here, if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you guys back here. Also, be sure to give me a thumbs up if you like these something old, something new videos. I really want to start doing these again. I think this is a great way to try out a minimal amount of new makeup. Thank you guys again. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye. Full, very, not natural. It's definitely not natural. Is any makeup natural? Not really. We're going to be using some of the bronze tones in here to create this very easy, beautiful, bronzy, summery, bronzy, smoky eye. Color pencils. Sticks? Pencils. Mandy, does that look like a pencil? In what universe is that a pencil? Left on my brush. This is not a brush, this is a sponge. Sponge, Mandy. This is a sponge. Brown liner now, and we're... Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy these something old, something new style of videos. It's very helpful for me to know if you like them. And very... I swear I just saw a spider.